Okay, so we're on page 57 in your journal. We're going to be talking today only about finding 10% of a number. This is very real world. I use this when I'm shopping sales in the stores, trying to figure out how much I would pay if something is a certain percentage off on the sale rack. So first we're going to start with just finding 10% today. So if you want to find 10% of something, yes, you can set up your percent box, but a shortcut would just be dividing it by 10. So the shortcut for dividing by 10 is you put your decimal. That's really always there. And we're going to move it to the left because we're dividing, and there's 1 0, so we're moving it one time. So we're going to divide this by 10. So 100 divided by 10 is 10. So 10% of 100 is 10. All right, so we're going to draw these strip diagrams. And so on these strip diagrams, sometimes we have questions about this on homework or tests, and you just need to know how to read them. So we're going to practice them just a little bit today. So we have our percentages on the bottom. We're counting by 10% all the way across until we get to 100%. All right, so 0% is always 0, and 100% is always the total. All right, so we started with 100. After the word of, they're always going to be giving you the total. All right, so we're finding a part of this total right here. So we're finding 10% of this total. So we found by dividing by 10 and moving the decimal one place to the left, we found that 10% of 100 was 10. So 10% is going to be 10, and that tells us what we're counting by on our strip diagram. So we're counting by tens. So we count by tens all the way across. And remember, if I'm ever going too fast, you can always pause. So 10% is 10. Okay, 20% of 100 would be 20. 30% of 100 would be 30. Notice I did not put a percent sign with this because this is not a percent. I want to find this percent, this part of this total is 10. So on a strip diagram, we shade in to where we want to stop. So if it's 10%, we stop at 10%. So 10% of 100, we go straight up, is 10. So 10% of 50 would be, we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be dividing this by 10 to find 10% of it. So here is my starting point for my decimal. It's like at the end of a sentence. Okay, we're putting that decimal at the end of the number if there's not one. We're dividing by 10. We're moving left 1. So we get 10% of 50 was 5. So 10% of 50 is 5. So we're counting by 5s on this strip diagram. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, what am I doing? 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So 100% of 50 is 50, and then 10% of 50 is 5. So if we wanted 20%, it would be 10. If we wanted 30%, it would be 15. If we wanted 40%, it would be 20, and so forth. So if we just want 10%, we're going to shade until we get to 10% and stop. So 10% of 50 would be 5. So when I'm in the stores and I want to buy a $50 item and there's a 10% off sale, all right, in my head, I can move my decimal one place to the left and think, okay, 10% of 50 is 5. I would save $5 off of that $50 item. And so it really does help try to figure out how much I'm going to save without having to get a calculator out. So now 10% of 80. So again, to find 10%, to find that part of 80, all right, we're going to divide by 10, and we're going to move our decimal one place to the left. So that makes that 8. So above 10%, we're going to be counting by 8. And this is where your blue sheet, your multiplication chart comes in. You can go on the 8 column and you can very easily count by 8s. So that's 8 times 2, 8 times 3. We have 8 times 4, 8 times 5, 8 times 6, 8 times 7, 8 times 8, 8 times 9, and 8 times 10. So I'm going to shade to 10%, and 10% of 80 is 8. So in the store, if there's a 30% off coupon, I think, okay, what's 10%? I move my decimal and I get 8. So 10%, how many groups of this are in this? So I think of like kind of like a proportion. I think 10 times 3 is 30. So 8 times 3 would be 24. So if there's 30% off of 80, I would save $24. I wouldn't pay $24, I would save $24. So if there was a 60% off sale, I find 10% off the ticket price. Okay, that's 8. And I think, all right, well, that's 10%. 8 is 10%. So that's 10 times 6 is 60. So 8 times 6 is 48. So I would save $48 if there was a 60% off sale. So let's find 10% of 200. So again, we're going to divide by 10. We're going to go bloop. That's what little sound we make in class, okay? So we move it one place to the left. So 10% of 200 is 20. So 10% of 200 is 20. So I'd count by 20s. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180, and 200. So 10% of 200, I would shade to 10%. So 10% of 200 would be 20. So on your homework, most of the time you just have to move your decimal one place to the left and write it down. So let's look at this one, 10% of 150. So we're going to move our decimal one place to the left, 15. So 10% of 150 is 15. So I'd be counting by 15. So I think of 15 as a group of 5 and 10. So 5 plus 10 is 15. So when I count by 15s, I think I add 10 and then I add 5. So if I add 10, that's 25. Add 5 more, that's 30. Add 10, that's 40. 5 more would be 45. Add 10, that would be 55. 5 more would be 60. Add 10 and 5 more would be 75. Add 10 would be 85. 5 more would be 90. Add 10 would be 100. 5 more would be 105. Add 10, that's 115. And 5 more would be 120. 10 would be 130. 5 more would be 135. And then I have my 150. So 10% of 15, I'm sorry, 10% of 150 is 15. All right, last one. So when you have something like this, okay, our little decimal goes here. So if we're going to try to divide by 10, we're going to move it one place to the left. So that's going to be 5/10. If I thought of it as money, it would be 50 cents. So if 10% of 5 is 5/10, we're going to count by 5/10 or a half. So we have a half, 1 whole, we have 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, and 5. So our 10% would be 5/10 or 50 cents basically. So if I had a 10% off coupon of a $5 item, I would save 50 cents. All right, one more thing. So on your homework, there's a couple that I wanted to show you like a real life example of what it would be like in the store. So let's say your item is $22.48, and I want you to find 10% of that. So in order to find 10% of something, we're going to do the exact same thing that we've been doing. All right, we are going to divide by 10, which means move our decimal one place to the left. So now I have this. But that doesn't really look like money, right? So when we have something like this, what we do is we box and make it look like money. So that's $2.24. Now this 8, this is what a cash register does. This 8 either is big enough to round this up to 25 cents, or you leave it as 24 cents. So if this is 5 or more, remember, from what we talked about the other day, that this is 5 or more, this rounds up to 25 cents. If it's 4 or less, you leave it as 24 cents. So since this is 8, it's more than 5, so that rounds that up to 25 cents. So we have $2.25 that we would save if we had 10% off of a $22.48 item.